Senatorial candidate, number 65 na tayo, for Senator Pia. 64 si Senator Mar, and then 65 si Senator Pia.
Cellphone po, ma'am.
Thank you, Senator. Brief statement for the media.
Statement. Representative Pia Cayetano.
Morning, everyone. So I started in the Rizal Monument in Luneta, which is also known as Kilometer Zero. I rode a bike from there, and the reason for that is it's symbolic of my journey to serve the Filipino people through the Senate. Kilometer Zero is the marking point that is used to define the distance from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And as a senator, having had that experience the last 12 years, I've either hiked, bike, climbed mountains to reach Filipinos in far-flung areas, which is what I intend to do if I'm given the chance to return to the Senate. My advocacies and the laws that I have passed speak for itself, but I believe that through the symbolism that I have chosen, it will help remind people of the work and the fight that I have taken up to defend the Filipinos in very basic areas that I feel are important to bring about change in the Philippines. Number one is education, health, women and children, environment, and cultural and heritage protection. So, Luneta Park was also important to me because people remember that the fight I started with advocates on the protection of Rizal as a heritage, and all over the country we have heritage sites, we have bridges, we have churches that can be protected and can be a source of income because of tourism. So by bringing back attention to our heritage, it is a way for the Filipino people to love their own, but also know that tourism can be a great opportunity to boost their local economies. And then I rode the bike, and that is symbolic of three things also. Number one is sustainable transportation, consistent with the build of this administration. Build in the area of transportation includes not just building highways, not just trains and buses, but also walkways, bikeways, non-environmentally friendly ways of getting people from one point to another. Second is my fight for health, which is also can be seen from the work that I've done. There's so much more that we can do to still improve the health of Filipinos. And last is empowerment of women and children in our country. So here I am today, and I humbly submit my candidacy as a senator to the Filipino people. Maraming po salamat. I'm happy to answer a few questions.
Joyce Fox, Joyce. But after serving one term in Batasan, why decide to run for the Senate again? Why not continue what you started in Batasan?
Well, I spent 12 years in the Senate, so you can actually say in a way that yun talaga yung area where I feel that I have been most productive, and my term in the House has been extremely valuable to me because dun ko rin talaga nakita yung the kind of work that colleagues of mine who are directly on the ground, because many of them were former governors, former mayors, provincial board members, or city councilors. So, iba rin talaga yung experience nila, and I've gained so much from them. But I also feel that my 12 years in the Senate has really been a platform that I have been comfortable with. And again, siguro, like just what I said, no, I'm blessed with the energy and the ability to go all over the country by foot sometimes. So why not use it to serve the Filipino people in that way? Yes. Hi, Paterno.
Mga nakaraang taon, maraming mga supporter ninyo na sinasabi na resolution daw sila sa inyo dahil sa palagay nila hindi kayo nanindigan na gusto laban dun sa mga kababaihan. Paano niyo po kasagutin yung ganyang sentimiento nila?
First of all, I'm not the president's spokesperson, so the president can defend himself and answer the questions with respect to his actions and his words naman po, no? When it comes to my actions, I think my record speaks for itself. From the time I was in the Senate, I fought for a reproductive health bill, which was a bill, which is now a law, that languished for 12 years. If I did not initiate that in the Senate, we wouldn't be where we are today in having a reproductive health law. Fast forward, just a month ago, we passed the maternity leave bill, ratified by both houses. You'd think that that is a very simple bill, aimed at simply giving women a few more days to take care of their baby, to take care of themselves. And yet, nalaman ko, kaya pala taon-taon din inabot yun because pinasa ko na yun in the Senate when I was still there, is because there was a lobby, a strong lobby apparently, by a certain employer group. So nilabanan ko yun, chinaga ko yun para mapasa yun. If you look back at my history, there's also the cheaper medicine law na nilabanan ko rin despite the lobby also of the pharmaceutical group. One of the very first acts that I did in the lower house when I was a new member of the House of Representatives was to fight against the supposedly increase in sin tax, which actually was a bill that was watering down our sin tax law. Our sin tax law is very important. If you ask any Filipino who has benefited from free medicines or free hospitalization, or kahit part nun, nabigyan sila, that is because of the sin tax law that I fought for. That I fought for despite tobacco lobby. Na pinaglaban ko pa rin in the House of Representatives dahil ang pinasa nilang bill ay napakababa nung sin tax doon. Pinaglaban ko yun. And I can go on and on, including age discrimination. Meron din mga employers na nagalit kasi pinapakailaman ko daw yung pag-hire nila. But age discrimination affects many women. A lot of women choose or are forced to leave the workforce because they have to take care of their young children. So because of the age discrimination, maraming nakalagay sa newspaper, 29 years old, hindi ka na daw pwedeng magtrabaho. I fought for that. Inabot din ng taon yon. So with all due respect, I think my track record speaks for itself. I fought the hard battles. Hindi ko nga pinipili yun eh. Pero sometimes, there's no one else who fights these battles. So I can stand proud and say that I fought for so many things. And itagdag ko, controversial man, pinaglaban ko din po ang divorce law. Because divorce bill, which I hope will be a law. Why? Because I've seen the plight of women. Iniiyakan ho ako ng mga babaeng bugbog sarado, sustento pa nila yung asawa nila. Mga OFW, malaman nila, iba na kinakasama ng husband nila. I fought for them, despite the fact that these are very controversial bills. And no, not many people are willing to take on that fight. So with all due respect, I believe I fought the battles.
Follow-up question lang po. Personal po, ano po yung pananaw niyo dun sa mga halik ni Pangulong Duterte sa
Like I said, he can defend himself. I am not his spokesperson. Look at my track record. I will continue to fight for women, for children, for healthcare, and for education. Thank you. I'll take another question.
Self-professed spokesperson of
I'll take another question, please. I've answered already. Thank you.
I'm Irma po from
Hi,
Manila
Irma.
Bulletin. What's your stand on lowering the age of criminal liability po?
I have a very interesting story to share with you. If you know, that was there are a number of bills filed in the House of Representatives, and in the same way that I responded to the fights that I have done in the Senate, in the House. What happened in the House of Representatives is there are a number of bills filed by my colleagues who, because of their experience, na ginagamit ang mga bata ng mga sindikato, nag-file sila ng mga bill na to. Kasi nga, ginagamit yung mga bata, kaliwat kanan, and they're able to go scot-free. Ako naman, as a children's rights advocate and having worked very closely with children's rights advocate, I also am of the belief that ginagamit talaga sila, and yet I do not believe that their action be criminalized kasi naniniwala po ako na nabibiktimahin sila. So I worked very hard to find a compromise, and if you look at the latest bill and version that we have, it is the bill that I worked on personally. This bill recognizes that itong mga bata ay may accountability. Kasi nung nagtanong ako, yun naman ang gusto ng mga advocates nung mababayong criminal activities ng mga bata, that they are accountable. That means they can be taken out of their homes where they are not being cared for. Kung walang nag-nurture sa kanila na nanay, tatay, responsible adult, they can be put in another home, in a relative's home. Or if they need to be put in another environment, pwede rin mangyari yun. Pero in a non-criminal manner, and of course that depends on the severity of the crime. So that has not passed yet, but I'm sharing the fact that this is what I've worked on to try to merge, what I feel is the common desire of everyone, whether child advocate or law enforcement, to make these children accountable to the extent na hindi sila magamit, and to also ensure that the parents take responsibility for it. So, but I don't know where it will go, kasi for now, it's still the draft. But that's all I can say for now, kasi hanggang doon pa lang yung trabaho.
Ma'am,
Yes.
morning po. Vanessa from
Hello.
JNS Online. Ma'am, you mentioned about the penalty being non-criminal. Can you explain how would the punishment go for the children?
It's not meant to be punishment. It's meant to be helping the children, rehabilitate them, and pull them out of an environment that brought them into a life of crime. So it's not meant to be a punishment, but it's accountability. In other words, magnakaw ka, hindi naman pwedeng, I also tell the advocates, hindi naman pwedeng wala lang, di ba? If that were our own children, and I have a little boy, I've had little girls who are now college girls. Pag sinabi sa akin, kinuha yung gamit ng classmate niya, hindi nagsabi, pagsasabihan mo yun, di ba? So the same thing, it's making the child accountable, but not attaching a criminal liability to that act. Especially if we're talking about petty crimes, no? Kasi maraming ganun yung nasasama sa masasamang barkada, and it then escalates to syndicates na ginagamit na sila. Pagka ganun, malaki pa naman talaga yung chance na ma-rehabilitate mo siya. So, but
They will not be detained. Would that be safe to say?
You know what? That's the problem that I've noticed. Kasi nga, I sat down hours and hours with advocates and enforcers. We get hung up on the terminology because if I take away a child for an environment that there is no parent in that house, at maraming ganun ha, maraming mga bata walang inuuwian na bahay na may magulang or may responsible adult. And if I say na under the foster care law, which is also my law, they are neglected children. They are entitled to the love of a family or other adults. Then the state can say that we need somebody else to take care of this child. Ideally, family. Diba? So ako, pinapasok ko yung social aspect doon. It's not a matter of detention. It's a matter of putting the child in an environment that child will be loved and cared for and know the difference between right and wrong. Yeah, siguro last question na?
Good morning.
Yes.
People are saying na kailangan ng strong opposition voice sa Senate given its history of the chamber. Pero given your record the past few years na medyo silent tayo on the controversial issues ni President Duterte, can you be a strong opposition voice when the need arises?
Okay, again, let me answer that question by my history. I've been through 3 presidents. Some of the presidents were my president from the start. Some of them were just presidents that I supported. My personality is I always support a sitting president to the extent that I can. But we are humans. It is humanly impossible to have the same view as the president, as your colleagues that you even run with. Impossible. So it is natural, and you will look at the Senate, there are times that you will vote against the desire of the administration that you are affiliated with. Sometimes you will vote with the other party or a measure that was initiated by somebody who ran the opposite party. That's very normal in the Senate. The Senate tends to cross party lines. Number one, to support the administration. Even opposition would support the administration when they believe that the measure is supportive of what the administration wants to achieve. And many times you will also find administration senators opposing the administration if they believe that the information that they gather from the people they represent says that there is a better way of doing something. So, again, you can check my record. I have fought the tough battles. I actually would like to correct that impression that you mentioned that I have been silent. It is because in the Senate, there are 24 senators. The access to media is there all the time. Go to my Facebook, look at the battles I have fought. Did anyone stand up the way I stood up against the tobacco lobby? Did anyone stand up the way I stood up against preventing the maternity law from passing, from giving women just 45, no not 45, 40 plus 5, tama, 45 more days to be with their children, to breastfeed their children? Who else stood up the way I stood up? Did anyone else stand up on the divorce law? Yes, my colleagues in the House. Pero sa Senate, may naririnig ho ba kayo? So, I beg to remind my critics, look at who fought the fights. You fight your fights in different chambers, in different areas. I have been a senator under 2 presidents, and my 3rd president, I am a member of the House of Representatives. You fight your battles in different arenas. Mostly I fight it on the floor, but there are opportunities where I fight it by talking to my principal. I have actually had the occasion to talk to CEOs, to advise them, to tell them that statements or policies that they have come up with are not good for the Filipinos. I have actually done the same for celebrities as well. But you will not see it splashed across the newspaper because I do it in a way that I believe is most effective. And in the days to come, I will continue to remind the people because in my case, and I guess it's a benefit that I have, the record is there. The work that I have done is it's an open book. You can find it there. So I think I've answered most of your questions. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes, thank you. City Representative